We live in a world that pretty much runs on data. And because of that, there's this invisible war being fought every single second for your personal information. But what are the rules of this digital battlefield? Well, in this explainer, we're going to demystify the core concepts of cybersecurity so you can really understand the fight for your bits and bytes. Think about it. Every time you check your bank account online, shoot off an email, or even just hop on a Wi-Fi network, you're trusting these invisible layers of protection. We're about to peel back those layers and get into the fundamentals that keep your digital world from, well, falling apart. All right, so to really get a handle on the battlefield, you've got to speak the language. First things first, let's nail down the basic terms. Okay, it all starts with an asset. This is the treasure, right? The thing we're trying to protect. And it's not just about money. It could be your personal data, a company's secret recipe, or the server that keeps a website running. Anything that has value is an asset that needs guarding. Now, to protect that asset, we build a kind of digital armor around it. But sometimes that armor has a crack. That crack is a vulnerability, a specific weakness, like maybe some outdated software or a password that's just too simple that an attacker could take advantage of. And that crack in the armor, well, that's what attracts a threat. A threat is any potential danger. It could be a hacker, sure, but it could also be an employee who accidentally deletes a critical file or even something like a flood that takes out a data center. It's the potential for something bad to happen. And all of that brings us to risk. Now, risk isn't just the idea that something bad could happen, it's an actual calculation. You're trying to figure out the likelihood that a threat will use a vulnerability, and then what's the actual damage if it does? It really boils down to two simple questions. What are the odds, and how bad will it be? So let's put it all together. It's a pretty simple story, actually. A threat, say a hacker, targets an asset, like your data. They do it by exploiting a vulnerability, like some software you forgot to update. And that whole sequence of events, that creates risk, the very real potential for you to lose your data. That's the basic anatomy of pretty much any attack. So we've got the lingo down. Now let's meet the players. Cybersecurity is really just a huge game of strategy between two sides, the attackers, trying to get in, and the defenders, trying to keep them out. In the corporate world, this gets formalized into what they call red teams and blue teams. The red team, they play offense. Companies literally pay them to think like hackers and find all the weak spots before the real bad guys do. The blue team, they're the defense. They're the ones building the walls, watching the monitors for attacks, and scrambling to respond when the alarms go off. But out in the wild, the attackers aren't quite so organized. They wear different hats, so to speak. You've got your white hats, those are the good guys, the ethical hackers, then the black hats, the criminals. Gray hats kind of operate in a moral gray area. And then you have script kiddies, who are basically unskilled amateurs using tools they don't really get, all the way up to state actors, who are the apex predators of the internet with huge resources and scary capabilities. So whether you're an attacker or a defender, this whole game of cybersecurity really revolves around controlling three fundamental things. What are they actually fighting for? It all comes down to these three words: confidentiality, integrity, availability. This is known as the CIA triad, and it's the absolute bedrock of information security. Seriously, every single attack is an attempt to break one of these, and every defense is an attempt to protect them. First up is confidentiality. The easiest way to think about this is like a sealed letter. Confidentiality is what makes sure that only the person the letter is meant for can actually open it and read it. It's all about keeping secrets, well, secret. Next is integrity. Sticking with our letter analogy, this is the guarantee that nobody secretly changed the message while it was on its way to you. The note you receive is the exact same note that was sent. It means the data is trustworthy. And finally, there's availability. This one's simple. It just means that when you want to read your letter, you can. The system's online, the data is there, and everything works the way it's supposed to. I mean, what good is a secret, trustworthy message if you can never actually get to it? So how do we actually get that confidentiality and integrity? Well, the main tool we use is an ancient art that's been brought into the digital age: cryptography, basically the science of secret codes. When it comes to encryption, there are two main flavors. Symmetric is like a safe with a single key. It's really fast, but you've got this big problem of how to get that key to the other person securely. Then you've got asymmetric, which is more like a public mailbox. Anyone can use your public key to lock a message and drop it in, but only you, with your private key, can open it up. It's a bit slower, but it's a brilliant way to share secrets over something insecure, like, the internet. Okay, this is a super important point. Encryption is not the same as hashing. Encryption is a two-way street. You lock it so you can unlock it later. That's for confidentiality. Hashing is a one-way street. It turns your data into a unique digital fingerprint. You can't ever turn that fingerprint back into the data. But if even one tiny bit of the original data changes, the fingerprint changes completely, telling you it's been tampered with. That's for integrity. All right, theory is great, but let's apply this stuff. Let's look at how all these concepts, threats, vulnerabilities, cryptography, come together in something we all do every day, connecting to a Wi-Fi network. The history of Wi-Fi security is a perfect example of this constant arms race. The first standard, WEP, was just fundamentally broken and cracked almost immediately. WPA was a quick patch. For a long, long time, we all used WPA2, which has really strong encryption. But it had this one major weakness. A hacker could capture the digital handshake when you connect, and then try to guess your password offline with as many tries as they wanted. And that's exactly why we have the modern standard, WPA3. It uses a totally new handshake that makes those offline attacks impossible. And here's one last critical point that trips a lot of people up. Just because you see a bunch of garbled text doesn't mean it's secure. You might just be looking at encoding, not encryption. Encoding's only goal is compatibility, just making sure data can be sent from A to B without getting messed up. There's no secret key. So remember, encryption is for secrecy. Encoding is just for formatting. So from the assets you're protecting to the crypto tools that guard them, you now know the basic rules of the game. The real question is, when you look at the technology you use every single day, how well are those rules actually being followed? How secure is your world really?